This is the Jerry Doyle Show.
We're getting Judge Napolitano out of the Fox Pundit Ready Room to join us here on the program. He'll be with us in just a minute or two. But with regard to this peacetime martial law, here's what it encompasses. And you tell me what it is that the government needs to harness with regard to coordinating all aspects of agriculture, energy, health and human services, transportation, defense, commerce, where they can basically take control of all the food, livestock, fertilizer, farm equipment, energy, water resources, civil transportation, construction materials. I mean, this is big stuff. And again, I want to go back and I want to play for you October 2008, this piece given on the floor by the Democrat from California, Congressman Brad Sherman, with regard to the threats of martial law back then.
The only way they can pass this bill is by creating and sustaining a panic atmosphere. That atmosphere is not justified. Many of us were told in private conversations that if we voted against this bill on Monday, that the sky would fall, the market would drop 2,000 or 3,000 points the first day, another couple thousand the second day, and a few members were even told that there would be martial law in America if we voted no. That's what I call fear-mongering.
That was then. This is now. Back then, they were concerned with the notion that they could create or sustain fear to get Congress to acquiesce to TARP. But now is there some other fear that they have where they would be talking about this executive order that was issued in the close of business on Friday? Joining us on the program, Fox News Channel senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano, who, folks, takes the complexity of the law and, to me, serves it up in, let's call it tapas-like fashion. You know, little tasty bites that leave you wanting more. He's also the author of It's Dangerous to Be Right When the Government is Wrong, The Case for Personal Freedom. Judge Napolitano with us on the program. Judge, welcome back.
How are you, Jerry? I was just saying, it sounds like you're hungry, but mentioning tapas.
Well, I'm always hungry for what it is you serve up, because you do it in a way where you go, I like that. What else do you have for me? You know so much about what it is that you talk about and the complexities of the legal world in which you live, but you give it to us in a way that we go, I think I understand that, or at least I understand the consequences of what it is that you're telling us, and you do it so well on Fox there. What's going on with this?
It's always a pleasure to be on with you, my friend. I'm a big fan.
Thank you, sir. What are we doing with this National Defense Resources Preparedness executive order that was issued at the close of business on Friday, when you know what happens to typically the items in the news cycle that time of day and that day of week?
Well, I guess it depends on who in Congress is willing to condemn this. The president has no authority under the Constitution or even under federal law to do this. In fact, when I first saw it over the weekend, I thought, this is one of these blogs that we all get. But it is apparently true. He did sign this thing. This does purport to give him self-dictatorial powers. So there's a couple of observations. First of all, the things that he says he can do in here, not only does the Congress not have the authority to give him, but the Constitution hasn't given him. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, null and void. The second thing is the Congress has not given him this authority. He can't even claim that, under one of these crazy laws that George Bush scared people into signing, sort of like, I don't know if that was a live person I was listening to or a tape you were just playing, that the sky would fall if we didn't agree to the Patriot Act. I don't know who made the statement that you were just playing, because I was put on your board the last few minutes of it.
Yeah,
but
that was Congressman Brad Sherman.
If this were under the authority of some crazy statute enacted in the aftermath of 9/11, when we were all afraid of everything, it would be invalid. So why the president did this is the most curious thing. Why would he think in an election season he would have the need to scare the daylights out of people with something like this? I don't know.
Let me. But that was Congressman Brad Sherman, Judge, and he was talking about the threats that were made by Henry Paulson with regard to Congress's inaction on passing TARP. That if that money wasn't made available immediately by Monday, that the life as we knew it was going to be over, which to me was the threats from Paulson to protect crony capitalism. But then I look at this implementation of what would be peacetime martial law. Would that be for the implementation of socialism or whatever it is this president decides
that could be,
that he decides
that would
it to
be? A rational basis for it. Look, there is no provision under the Constitution for martial law in this country in peacetime or in wartime. The use of the military to shoot at Americans, no matter what they're doing, only occurred during the Civil War, the constitutionality of which is subject to great debate even today. So I don't know what plans the president has in mind as to why he would have done things like this. There's no statute that authorizes it. If there were, the statute would be unconstitutional. There's nothing in the Constitution that even hints at anything like this. And have you heard a peep from anybody in the Congress saying what the hell's going on? I have not.
No, I have not. And why not? I guess I'll throw that back to you, Judge. Why not? And what's the end game?
Exceptions there on both sides of the aisle. Ron Paul and Dennis Kucinich. The Congress has basically become a potted plant. I mean, the president must like the second or third week in March, because last year at this time, when the Congress was on spring break, do your listeners know that Congress gets a spring break? It does. And the president was in Brazil. That's when he announced that we were bombing Libya for humanitarian purposes. Of course, we all know what happened. Libya is now a mess. There is no central government, and the tribes control it, and you can't get in and you can't get out unless you bribe whoever's the head of the tribe that controls the area where you want to go. Be that as it may, the president waged war without authorization from Congress because he knew they'd look the other way. And then some libertarian Republicans and some progressive Democrats proposed legislation to order him to stop, and that legislation was defeated. And then they proposed a watered-down version of that, and that legislation got more votes, but it too was defeated. So Congress almost likes to look the other way when the president steals power that was given to it under the Constitution.
What keeps us, Judge, as a law-abiding nation if the people who are following this keep seeing the Constitution violated or merely dismissed, the rule of law with regard to bankruptcies thrown out the window? What keeps us a law-abiding nation if it seems like the people that are making the laws don't have to live by them, and if they don't like them, they just make them up, and if they don't like what they decided, they just change that too? It just seems like they're just doing whatever it is they want to do in an almost lawless nature, but yet expect us to live by the rule of law.
Well, if you would allow me, because we are ideological soulmates here, to adjust your question ever so slightly to what has kept us free. It has been deference to the rule of law. But when there is no respect for the rule of law, when the president thinks he's above the rule of law because he can make up his own rules and his own laws, then we cannot long stay in existence. About 400 years ago, there was a debate in Parliament, and the debate literally was this: is the king above the rule of law, or is the rule of law superior to the king? They debated this for 2 days, and when they counted votes, the rule of law won by 10 votes. 10 votes out of about 300 or 400 cast. So people who have too much power tend to forget that there are limits on that power. There are natural limits on the power. There are legal limits on the power. There are constitutional limits on the power. But when the president thinks he can write any law, write any rule, obey any law he wants, or disobey any constitutional principle that he wants, then we are not long going to be free. And we won't be safe, because we won't be safe from him.
And then what do we do when we get to that point where we just say this has turned into a lawless nation, or a nation that doesn't live by the rule of law? Is that where this national defense resources preparedness, peacetime, wartime, martial law dictate, keep us in line?
Well, I mean, at that point, I would think that laws would collapse, and the country would be ruled by whoever. History only happened once in our history, when we seceded from Great Britain because we beat the king's soldiers. but I just don't think that the American spirit would tolerate the destruction of basic principles of personal freedom and the concept of the rule of law, no matter who the president is or no matter how popular he might be.
The movie The Ten Commandments, Yul Brynner's character, so let it be written, so let it be done. I think there's a lot of people that are in government today that think that that is the way it is. So let it be written, so let it be done, and let the Constitution be damned, let the rule of law be damned, let precedent be damned, and, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead with whatever it is their agenda is. Capitalism under Bush or socialism under Obama certainly doesn't benefit the nation as a whole.
Over the weekend, General David Petraeus, who's the head of the CIA, announced that the CIA could, if it wanted to, I don't know that he meant legally, I think he meant scientifically, use the computer chips in your microwave, in your dishwasher, and your refrigerator to spy on you. Now, if he says that they could do it, do you think they probably already are? Why would he reveal something like that? Is he a patriot telling us what monsters could do if they take over? Or is he revealing what the people who work for him have already done? This is a very, very difficult time that we're going through. And both parties are equally at fault here. It is only the most progressive liberal Democrats like Kucinich who fear the loss of freedom, and the most libertarian Republicans like Ron Paul who fear the loss of freedom, who in the Congress are speaking out about this. Otherwise, we are seeing people look the other way, as was the case with the bombing of Libya, as was the signing of the enactment of the National Defense Authorization Act, which purports to let the president arrest Americans, as was the speech by Eric Holder at Northwestern University Law School 2 weeks ago, in which he argued that the president can kill Americans who he feels are dangerous in other countries as long as he deliberates carefully over the decision to kill. Somehow the president's private secret deliberation is a form of due process. This is what he argued. And then 2 days later, the head of the FBI, Bob Mueller, who's a very decent guy, was asked under oath before a committee of the House of Representatives 2 days ago. Director Mueller, Attorney General Holder, said the president could kill an American who he felt was dangerous when they were in Yemen. Could he kill that person in Peoria? And Bob Mueller said, I can't answer that. Could you imagine J. Edgar Hoover answering it that way? He would say, of course not. If somebody killed an American, president or not, I'd arrest him.
Right.
That's what the answer should have been, but I guess he wants to keep his job.
And I guess that if you should probably know that answer before you go forward, whatever the policies are that you want to implement. If you want to read about that, it's called Napolitano, Can the President Kill You? By our guest, Andrew Napolitano at Reason Magazine, Reason.com, the website. Judge, it's a lot of heady stuff. A lot of people get relegated to tinfoil hats and conspiracy theorists. And, it's kind of like what they're doing to people like Ron Paul, is they want to make him look like Jack Lemmon in the China Syndrome. They want to make him look like the craziest man in the room, when in fact the other people have to have a demon. They have to make someone look to be the problem or problematic in and of themselves. I would have to say on the most front, mission accomplished in a lot of areas with Ron Paul, but thankfully he's out there doing what he's doing. You're doing what you're doing on Fox News. Real quick question. Is there a pundit ready room at Fox? Because you're always on TV there. Is there a place where they have like a couch or a bed or a shower? You can go in and eat and sleep and spruce up and all that?
The answer is yes to all of the above. They wring us dry.
Well, I know you're very busy at Fox News, and you do a great job of it. Judge Andrew Napolitano. The book is It Dangerous to Be Right When the Government is Wrong? The Case for Personal Freedom. Amazon.com, Barnes & Nobles, all the usual suspects. We link up to it on our homepage, and you can always catch him all the time, apparently now. Fox News Channel Senior Judicial Analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Thank you, Judge. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Take care.